ati nakasheje bukombe kumubya cy'abanyoro nciro mutembaraga n'enjo erika shejero mushaino zimpunga amatungo neti yabe na bitora nserisho genyara turumho muri basi aba muti mu rugarika kukora ncyo cy'abanyoro ristarwa bugenda ndarakabandi yegera na ruzochera icyarra cyunyuka n'icyetegere urufundo kunamura n'intere bitegero akamajingo eteze yitungazeshera amatimba gamanura abantu bakigatina
because I'm Rwangyezi and you are Gen Z. The Gen Z of Uganda are offsprings and descendants of Uganda's culture. And I, for all my life, have been focusing on the recapturing of the culture that was getting lost because of our colonial history, bringing it back into day-to-day life, updating it to fit into the contemporary lifestyles of Ugandans, making it become relevant to the way we are living, but also making it Uganda's identity, giving Uganda a face. Because for a long time, Uganda was either known for war, famine, HIV. If you ask even now, anywhere you go and say Uganda, people still say Idi Amin. So the fact that I have been making Uganda have a different identity, something different to be proud of, makes me very relevant to the Ugandans. And really, even when we had gotten a confusion, a cultural confusion of trying to be European, trying to, brush off the hair and speak English in American way, deep inside us, we all want to be proud as Ugandans. And we have been groping in the dark to look for something that we would all hold on to and say, this is who we are. So Ndere has brought that beautification of our identity. And therefore, all Ugandans of goodwill have every reason to be proud of it. Now, let me first say this, that this was our 4th time to participate in Dance Africa. Dance Africa is, I think, the oldest existing or continuous festival of African culture in the United States. Brooklyn Academy of Music, or BAM, is the oldest cultural center or performing arts center in the United States. It was built in the 18-something. Dance Africa was started in 1977. So they have both been running for a long time. The founder of Dance Africa, Baba Chuck Davis, God bless his soul, got in touch with us in 1999. Then we went again in 2001, and then went again 2007. Then Baba Chuck passed, and the festival sort of started working only with the African groups, but based in America. They have now been going back to what the original intentions were, of getting a group as a centerpiece coming from Africa, then working with the Africans in the diaspora. Now, normally, they take only one group once. A group never goes back more than once. But as I mentioned, for us, this is the 4th time. The main reason for that is all the groups they took from West, East, and Central Africa didn't seem to be as authentically original as Ndere proved to be. And I think that the African Americans are hungry for something that is real, that is authentic, that is genuine African. So they found Ndere in that category, being very accurate in representation. So for us, we feel honored that of all the peoples of Africa, Dance Africa, Brooklyn Academy of Music, found us most representative of the indigenous and authentic arts and took us again and again. This time around, being the 49th edition, the anticipation was really, really high. And the groups that we were performing with were all highly professional. These are African Americans, but where all the dancers have gone through very serious training institutions. And they have been dancing for many years. There was one young people's group which, although the children are going to school, they also go to a dance academy. So all of them are highly professional. Now, Ndere came with both the authenticity, but also the professionalism. And while all the other groups would choreograph a piece, and I mean a piece, and you look at it and you see it's a story told in movement, we came up, and while everybody was given, I think the longest was given 15 minutes, others 10, 5, we had 45 minutes in the performance. And we crafted the dances without much talking or putting dances into context. But we were able to come with dances from all regions of this country, moving very, very fast, but changing costume and each dance looking authentic in the way that tribe dresses. And it became a real, real lesson and eye-opener, because not only did we have the authenticity in dress, but we also came with rhythms and melodies that people in America have not been used to. Most of the dancing and music in America is from West Africa. Every group is playing the djembe and making movements from Nigeria and Ghana. Now here we came playing mbaire, playing adungu, playing fiddles, dancing bachi simba, following it with the chizino, with la rakaraka. The movements are different, the music is very different, and yet we choreographed and designed it into a seamlessly flowing performance, and we left a huge impact. If you look at the New York Times and the articles that came out of that, if you look at Amsterdam News, we were really top. You see, what you people call modern is traditional in other cultures. It's only that it arrived here recently. Ballet is a classical dance in Europe. Hallelujah chorus, and these are all ancient traditional arts in those cultures. But when they were brought here, colonialism made us think that they were modern and new. It's not correct. It's that they came here recently. And the mistake we have been making was to abandon what was here and adapt what came from other cultures, and we took it to be modern. So also when we went to America and taught the Mubachi Simba and La Rakaraka, they are taking it to be modern now. They think that is a new thing and they are heavily engaged. But here it's ancient. So for us, what we've been doing has been to make the presentation of the indigenous art fit in contemporary times. What I mean, traditionally, when people performed, everybody in the community got involved. If someone played the drum, another one would sing, another one would clap, another one would dance, or you relate, everybody was involved. And so it was a circular arrangement, and there was no audience, there was no performer. Now we bring that situation, but in modern times where you have an audience that is seated and passively watching and a performer that is on one side. So what we do is to arrange the performance bearing in mind that the other person who is watching or consuming the art does not have the opportunity to walk around the artist. So instead of the audience moving around, it is the artist that you turn around. When you look at traditional performances, you all get there and everybody keeps creating their styles at different times. When you present such a performance to a passive audience, now you arrange. You say, okay, all of us shall dance this style facing this way. When we finish, we change to this style facing that way. You also think about artistic arrangements, the blending of the artists, the synchronization, the color sorting, the isolation of the different skills, the progression that I have started slow, I go that, I end at a climax. Because it is not the situation where everybody dances and when you get tired, you go and sleep. It's a performance now. But we follow theatrical and artistic presentation techniques, but adapt our indigenous arts to fit into the modern times. One thing I have never had a doubt about is the correctness of the mission that led me to start Ndere Troupe. I was absolutely convinced that the African indigenous arts, the African indigenous civilizations are deep, are great, are fathomless. You can't exhaust them. The only thing that was missing was focused and continuous effort. So I was sure, even when I started and no one took me seriously, I was sure that over time I would attract the appropriate attention. And what I used to tell people then was, I used an analogy that I would start a fire under the seat and keep increasing the temperature until the people seated on the seat would start saying what's wrong, and then eventually have to check what is under there and know what is causing the heat and pay attention to the fire. So that's where we are now. The right time has come for the world to give Africa, to give Uganda the respect that we deserve. And I'm glad that Ndere troop is carrying out that soft power, while others attract attention by shooting each other. We attract attention by making everybody happy. For me, just like I think when a mother is going to give birth, even when she has given birth many times, every delivery has a completely different pain, a completely different worry, and completely different dangers. So for me, much as we have been on stages all over the world, much as we perform here at Ndere Center 3 times a week, every show worries me differently. And that's because there are different circumstances that can happen. You are talking about working with human beings. A human being can fall sick. A human being can be out of mood. And a human being can lose a voice, and you can be somewhere in the middle of a performance and he gets a stitch and you are stuck. An instrument can break. You are in America and if it has breaks, you cannot say, now I go to a shop and buy another one. So all these, but most importantly, when the artistic director of Dance Africa and the producer came here, I think in December or January, and gave us the general expectation, I was not sure that I had gotten the picture well. So I prepared 3 types of shows before we left. I knew there was a show that would be for the general audience. There was a show that would be for students. And there was a dance demonstration, lecture demonstration that would be for professional artists. Now, just before, and we prepared those 3. Just before we left, I got a message to say, all the student shows have been sold out. And what is the capacity? We were performing in the Opera Hall of Brooklyn Academy of Music. It is 2,228 people. And all the student shows sold out. You're taking 20 people to perform for 2,000. 2,000 ranging from primary 1 to senior 6. These are completely different age groups. And those shows of the students did not have other artists. It was only Ndere troupe. So the temperature started rising. And you're taking art that these kids are not familiar with. They probably were expecting hip hop, and you are going to appear with La Raka Raka. So when we got there, which was now the next stage, and we visited the theater, and the technical team did not understand the technique of producing sound from our instruments. You bring an adungu and you say, I want a microphone point here. And for them, they know you plug a pin into a guitar. So we went through these hurdles, and then you find a theater where they tell you that the dressing room is on the 4th floor. You go there, you dress for them. Once you step on stage, you stay in that costume. For us, we are saying after every 3 minutes, we want change. And they are telling you, okay, you get in the lift, go up, dress, come back. And this lift is going, stopping, picking other people. And you're telling them, no, we want to dress in the wing. And they tell you, no, this is a professional house. No one dresses in the wing. So that took a lot of synchronization and harmonization. But those people are professional. In a very short time, they adapted, they switched things over. They got completely different types of microphones, and the show was set. Then came the problem of it is this time and it ends this time. But when you are doing organic performance the Uganda way, sometimes you have sung and the audience have applauded and the singer wants to give them another verse, but you had not planned that verse, and time is going. When time ends, the sound technicians, the lighting, the what, all of them take overtime, which overtime money has not been calculated in the payments for that day. So to adapt the shows, and then you cannot say we shall finish 5 minutes earlier. To adapt the live performance into almost digital timing, it took a toll on us. We were rehearsing day and night. But finally, we tied it together. And we had the performance for the students first. Then that ended. And now all the other groups came. And we are talking about over 200 artists coming sequentially. And we have now to rehearse with these, and our show gets reduced from 45 to 35 minutes to fit in the time. And there is no intermission. Instead of the intermission, the director says, I want the audience to listen to the adungus, but you had not planned adungus alone as part of your show. The boys playing the adungus are the ones supposed to go and begin. So, but I had a wonderful team. The troupe that I took were very quick at adapting, and quickly we were there. There are 3 things that are coming out of this. One, that I was away with 19 others, but shows here went on. And went on very well. And I've seen some reviews. In fact, there was a guest who said, it's good, these people went, and we have now seen new talent coming up. Let them get more business out there and these ones grow. So one thing that our going to USA has proved is the versatility and multi-pronged competence of Ndere troupe. That you can have one group away and still those can do a good job and another group can do another good job. That's one. Number 2, maybe before I leave that point, therefore, we will be sending another group to Germany and another group to Russia in June. We are now back to our pre-COVID competence and capacity. Because before COVID came in, we were able to do 5 shows and no one would say this show is better than the other. we would be able to be in 3 different countries at the same time. Then when COVID came, and for 4 years we were down, many of our artists left. We have since been vigorously training. We have now reached that competence and confidence. And we tested it with this American trip. I'm sure you remember that recently, when we went to France, we had to cancel shows here. But now, we went to America and we took a bigger number, and the shows here went on uninterrupted. So that's one thing. The second one is, I'm really glad that I took these people because many of them are senior in the troupe, and they experienced what professional handling of a show is. That if someone says 10, they actually mean 9:30 or 9. That if someone says your costume is here, or this instrument is here, or the light will come here, that's where you must go. That they now know that to be on stage, there is a lot going on behind the scene. Equally important, that you don't simply come on stage to put what you have not prepared. So I think that the people who went are coming back with a touch of professionalism that they are going to infuse in the troupe that will bring our performances to a better level. And thirdly, that there is another way of making our performance. Because normally, I have been talking about every dance. But over there, if I said many words on stage, they were not more than 5 throughout the show. But the show ran itself, and the audience did not remain in any doubt of what we were doing on stage. So there is a new approach that was revealed to us in this process, and we shall be implementing a lot of these approaches. You all have been taught about missionaries, but what you have never been taught is why they were called missionaries. Because if they had said, you cannot be called a missionary without a mission. If the teachers had told you that they were called missionaries because they had a mission, you would have said, now what was the mission? So they stopped at missionaries, and these missionaries, Church Missionary Society from England came 1877, Roman Catholic missionaries from France came 1879, their names are so and so, and that's where we stop. But the question we should ask ourselves is, how big must this mission have been to them that they were willing to leave their homes? We don't read anywhere that any one of them came with their wife or their children. They left their homes, left their everything, got on the high seas. In those days, there was no airplane, there was no motorized ship, but they would be on the high seas, on doors being blown by wind, and sometimes the wind would take you the wrong direction. Almost a year or more on the lake, on the sea. Then arrive at the coast of Africa without a map, no police, no medicine, no telephone, no one no one speaks your language, no food that you are aware of, and they still entered the continent of Africa. How big was this mission that they took that risk? And some of them would die, like they would tell you Bishop Huntington was killed, But the next one would continue. If you want to understand how big that mission was, you and I, you're a Munyora, Munyankore, it is a language that we could understand each other, but we are speaking in English. Their mission is accomplished. They have changed us. And if I give you this t-shirt and I say it's made in Uganda, you won't buy it. If I say it's made in England, you'll pay twice as much. So we are totally hooked. Their mission was accomplished. So what keeps me motivated is that for me, Ndere is not a business. Ndere is not a hobby, but a mission to create a renaissance in the African pride, in the African confidence, in the Africa, by renewing and reviving and relevancing Africa's indigenous civilizations to modern times, that we can now make a contribution to world cultural mosaic, that you can be on the cultural quilt of the world and you say, yes, that is Chinese, that is Indian, that is Korean, this is African. And even when you zoom into the African, you can say this is Uganda. And even when you zoom into Uganda, you can say this is Bunyoro, this is Nkore, this is Acholi, and not just the color of the skin, but the contribution we make in the art, the contribution we make in the food, in the architecture, in the medicine, in the ways of worshiping, that people don't simply sweep us under the carpet, but people look at us and say, we are glad we coexist with these people on the same planet. If you want to have a relationship, a meaningful relationship with anyone, with another person, you don't only dominate them with your own culture. Exchange means offering as you also receive. You cannot go to America and keep asking for kalo and mulokoni. Then why did you go to America? That's the same argument I've always had. Why people come from France to come to Uganda and we offer them French fries. They come from Spain and you offer them a Spanish omelette. Why did they come here? So by going to America, we were very glad to explore their own culture. The difference, however, is that America is only 250 years old. By the way, one of the reasons we went this particular time is that it was the Memorial Weekend. It was their independence time. So America is a migratory country. All the people who are there, except the indigenous Americans, came from somewhere else. So when we went to New York, I asked, so what is your main food? And they said, pizza. I said, but I thought that was Italian. I said, oh, we have a big Italian community here. So we have New York pizza. And then they will tell you about the burger, the buffalo wings, and we ate all of them. All of them. Wow. Yes. Because we went to explore America. And we went to learn how they have been able to turn other people's cultures into theirs. They took a chevugo from here and made it rap. They took our Enanga playing and made blues. So, what does it take to borrow and then own? For them, they just adapted. Ours is learning the ways of that they are using. How do we, for example, whether we want or not, artificial intelligence is here to stay. We cannot wish it away. So how do we bring that into our performances? How do we bring the computer, just like we brought microphones, and how do we bring these new technologies into the performances that we are doing? So trying out the food, yes, we did. I think that I'm very glad that 2026 has seen Ndere stabilize. We have gone through a series of disasters, really many, from COVID, and because of COVID, we went into bank disasters, and before that, so many things have been happening. And the entertainment industry is very, very sensitive to problems. Entertainment is part of tourism. We had already fronted Ndere as the one-stop center for cultural tourism. But when you hear about COVID, when you get newspaper things that Ndere Center was being sold, when you get, now you hear about Ebola, immediately the audience shrinks. We had, for example, some professors were coming from New York University, and students, now they have cancelled. So, Ndere is now at that level where, despite the problems, we are stable. And that stability is seen in the abilities of performance, that we can perform here and abroad at the same time. That stability is seen in the way our food is being accepted. That stability is seen in the way now Ichifuha is open in Ikisoro. So we are beginning again to be buoyant, to float, and we shall soon fly.